The salesperson in a luxury store is not your advisor. He is a trained closer working on commission inside a retail environment, engineered to separate you from your judgment. The lighting is calibrated, the music is controlled, the mirrors are positioned. The salesperson knows the script, and the script never includes the words fused construction, corrected grain, cemented sole, or licensed product. There are things the luxury retail industry does not want you to know, not because they are illegal, because if you knew them, you would ask different questions. And different questions lead to different decisions. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what those questions are, and what to do when the salesperson cannot answer them. Secret 1. The jacket that looks tailored is glued together. Walk into any luxury department store in America, like Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, or the upper floors of Nordstrom, and ask to see their suits in the $1,500 to $3,000 range. The salesperson will talk about the fabric, Italian wool, Laura Piana cloth, Super 120S. He will talk about the cut, modern fit, clean lines. He will talk about the brand, heritage, craftsmanship, tradition. He will not talk about the interlining. The interlining is the internal structure of a suit jacket, the layer between the outer fabric and the lining that gives the chest its shape and the lapels their role. There are two ways to build it. Canvas construction uses a floating horsehair and wool interlining stitched, not bonded, to the jacket by hand. It molds to the wearer's body over time. It is labor intensive, it is expensive. Fused construction uses an interlining bonded to the outer fabric with heat-activated adhesive. It is fast. It is cheap. It looks identical to canvas in the store. At $2,000, most suits sold in American luxury retail are fused. Not half canvas, not full canvas, fused. The adhesive bond will begin to fail with repeated dry cleaning, with heat, with moisture. The technical term is delamination. The visible result is bubbling, the outer fabric separating from the interlining in irregular patches around the chest and lapels. It is irreversible. The jacket is finished. The salesperson does not tell you this because he may not know it himself. Luxury brands do not train retail staff in construction methods. They train them in brand narrative. There is a difference, and it is not accidental. What to do: roll the lapel between your fingers before you buy. A canvas lapel has a natural soft curve. A fused lapel has a slight stiffness and tends to lie flat rather than roll. Pinch the chest fabric away from the lining. On a fused jacket, they move as one rigid unit. On a canvas jacket, the outer fabric has slight independent movement. These tests take 30 seconds. The salesperson will watch you do them and say nothing useful. The jacket will tell you everything. At $2,000, you should be getting canvas. If you're getting fused, you are paying a canvas price for a department store product in a luxury bag. Secret 2. The leather is not what you think it is. Full grain leather, top grain leather, corrected grain leather, bonded leather. These are not marketing categories, they are industry classifications describing 4 different products with 4 different price points, 4 different durability profiles, and 4 different relationships between the hide and the finished surface. Luxury salespeople use one word for all of them: leather. Full grain leather is the top layer of the hide, unaltered. The surface shows the natural grain of the animal, unique, variable, occasionally marked. It is the strongest layer of the hide. It breathes. It develops a patina with wear. It is the most expensive to produce because the underlying hide must be good enough to show. Corrected grain leather starts as the same top layer but is sanded and buffed to remove surface imperfections, scars, tick marks and uneven texture, and then coated with a polyurethane or pigment layer to create a uniform, consistent surface. It looks cleaner than full grain in the store. It is easier to produce at scale. It does not breathe the way full grain does. It cannot develop a natural patina because the surface is sealed. It will eventually crack at flex points as the coating separates from the underlying hide. A significant portion of leather shoes, belts and accessories sold at luxury retail prices in the United States use corrected grain leather. This is not disclosed on the price tag. It is rarely disclosed by the salesperson. It is sometimes buried in product descriptions using the phrase smooth leather, which tells you nothing about the grain level, or simply Italian leather, which tells you only where the hide was processed, not what was done to it. The test is tactile and visual. Press your thumb into the toe of a dress shoe. Full grain leather responds with slight give and springs back, showing the natural surface moving under pressure. Corrected grain feels marginally stiffer and the surface moves less naturally because it is coated. Look at the surface texture across the shoe. Natural grain is variable and unique. Corrected grain has a slightly uniform, almost printed regularity because it has been standardized. At $600 for a dress shoe, you should be standing in full grain leather. If you are standing in corrected grain, the $600 is paying for a brand's real estate costs, not the hide. The salesperson will not offer this distinction. You have to bring it yourself. What the salesperson will never show you: a 4-point inspection. These are the 4 things to check before handing over money in any luxury store. None of them require expertise. All of them require 30 seconds and the willingness to look at the product rather than the salesperson. Turn the shoe over. The sole edge tells you the construction method. A cemented shoe, an adhesive bond with no stitching, has a smooth, clean edge where the upper meets the sole. A Goodyear welted shoe has a visible stitch line running around the perimeter of the welt. A Blake stitched shoe has a slimmer profile with stitching visible on the interior insole. Cemented construction cannot be resoled in any practical sense. Goodyear welt and Blake stitch can be resoled. At $500 and above, cemented construction is a construction shortcut priced as craftsmanship. Turn the garment inside out. The interior of a shirt, jacket or trouser tells you more than the exterior. Look at the seam lines. Are they straight, tight and consistent? Look at the stress points, the base of side seams, the armhole, the seat seam on trousers. Quality construction reinforces these with bar tacks or additional stitching. Look at the seam allowances, how much fabric is left beyond the stitch line. Narrow seam allowances indicate cost-cutting at the pattern stage. Look for loose threads, uneven tension and puckering at curved seams. These are not cosmetic issues, they indicate the speed and standard of production. Read the label completely. In the United States, fabric content labeling is legally required. The label must tell you what the garment is made of. The phrase premium cotton is not a fiber content. It is a marketing term that appears nowhere in textile classification. The label must specify the fiber, supermer, pima, extra long staple, or simply cotton. For wool, look for a super number, super 100s, super 120s, which is a verifiable industry classification of fiber fineness. For cashmere, the percentage must be disclosed. 85% cashmere is a different product than 100% cashmere and should be priced accordingly. If the label uses vague language where specific language is possible, the brand made a choice. The choice benefits the brand, not the buyer. Ask one direct question and evaluate the answer. Ask the salesperson, is this jacket canvassed or fused, or is this leather full grain or corrected grain? Or what is the construction method on the sole? A trained, knowledgeable salesperson at a brand that is proud of its construction will answer immediately and specifically. A salesperson at a brand whose construction does not hold up to scrutiny will hesitate, redirect to the fabric, mention the brand's heritage, or simply say they will check. That response is itself the answer. The brand has not trained its sales staff to discuss construction because the construction is not the selling point. If you want to know what your clothing is actually worth before you spend the money, subscribe. This channel follows the construction, not the campaign. Secret 3. The brand you're buying may not make the product. This is the one luxury retail never discusses: licensing. A licensing agreement allows a brand to attach its name to a product manufactured and sometimes designed by a third party. The brand receives a royalty, typically a percentage of wholesale revenue. The licensee handles production, sourcing, and quality control within agreed parameters. The customer receives a product with a famous name on the label and an assumption of quality that the brand itself did not necessarily control. Licensing is pervasive in American menswear at every price point. Many department store designer dress shirts, ties, belts, and accessories are licensed products. The brand designed the logo placement, a separate manufacturer made the shirt. The quality standard is whatever the licensing agreement specifies, which is rarely disclosed and varies widely. This extends upmarket. Several heritage luxury brands license significant portions of their product lines, eyewear, fragrance, accessories, and in some cases apparel categories, to production partners whose manufacturing standards differ from the brand's owned production items. The customer walking into a brand's flagship store has no clear way to determine which products are made in-house and which are licensed unless he researches the specific category before entering. The question to ask before any significant purchase is this: is this made in your own production facilities or through a manufacturing partner? At a brand with nothing to hide, the answer will be direct. At a brand whose production is partially or significantly licensed, the answer will be evasive or will include phrases such as "our trusted partners" or "our manufacturing network," which mean a third party made the product under the brand's name. The name on the label guarantees the name on the label. It does not guarantee who made the product, to what standard, or with what materials. Those are separate questions that require separate answers. Secret 4. The markup has nothing to do with the product. The retail markup on luxury clothing and accessories in the United States is extraordinary and almost entirely disconnected from manufacturing cost. Gross margins in luxury fashion retail are commonly reported at 65 to 75%, and in leather goods and accessories can reach 80% or higher. On a $900 dress shirt, the production cost, meaning fabric, cut, sew, finishing, quality control and shipping, is typically estimated by industry analysts at $80 to $150 depending on the brand and production location. The remaining $750 to $820 covers the wholesale margin to the retailer's markup, the brand's advertising budget, the flagship store lease on Fifth Avenue or Rodeo Drive, the celebrity campaign, the in-store experience, and the brand's operating profit. None of that is in the shirt. The salesperson will not tell you this because the salesperson's job is to transfer the value of the retail experience to the product in the customer's mind. The store is designed to make $900 feel appropriate for a shirt. The lighting, the display, the packaging, the tissue paper, the bag, all of it is communicating value that the shirt itself does not contain. This is not fraud, it is retail. But it is retail operating under the assumption that the customer cannot distinguish between what he is paying for and what he is getting. The moment the customer makes that distinction, the entire architecture of luxury retail becomes visible for what it is: a well-executed environment for selling a $150 product at $900. The product is real. The craftsmanship, in many cases, is real. The price is not the product. The price is everything around the product. Understanding that distinction is the most valuable thing a man can bring into a luxury store. Conclusion. The luxury retail industry is not a conspiracy. It is a business. It operates rationally within its own logic, which is to create environments, experiences, and narratives that make premium pricing feel natural, earned, and justified. It does this very well. The stores are beautiful. The products are often genuinely good. The salespeople are frequently charming and knowledgeable about the things they are trained to discuss. What they are not trained to discuss is construction method, grain level, canvas versus fused interlining, licensing agreements, or the relationship between manufacturing cost and retail price. Not because this information is secret, because this information, if widely understood, would change the questions customers ask, and different questions lead to different decisions and lower sales. The man who walks into a luxury store knowing how to read a sole edge, how to roll a lapel, how to read a fabric label, and how to ask one specific construction question is not a difficult customer. He is an informed customer. He will still buy things. He will buy better things. And he will not pay $900 for a $150 shirt, $1,200 for a cemented loafer, or $2,500 for a fused suit, not because he cannot afford them, but because he knows what they are. That knowledge is the only protection available in a retail environment engineered to bypass it. The salesperson knows the script. Now you know what the script leaves out. The store is designed to make you feel. The construction is designed to be examined. One of those things is working in your interest. Examine the construction, leave the feeling at the door.